This is Singles Exchange. Let's talk, let's hang. This is Singles Exchange. Singles Exchange.
What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Joy J. And before we get started with today's episode, I just wanted to remind you that we have a murder mystery dinner coming up on October 9th, and you can go to our website to get more details on that. But I wanted to introduce you to one of our sponsors for that event. So let me tell you guys about Indigo Siege handcrafted sauces. Are you ready to take your favorite dishes and taste buds to the next level? Produced in small, made to order batches, ensuring the freshest taste. Indigo Siege handcrafted sauces are one of a kind, and they'll keep you coming back for more. They currently have 3 sauces in their collection. Their number one bestseller, which I'll show you here, is their famous wing sauce. It's the sweet fire sauce. They have an original St. Louis original barbecue sauce. That's the pork sauce. And let me tell y'all, they stay sold out. So I haven't gotten that one yet, but I'm going to get it soon. And then lastly, their creamy, spicy, and zesty seafood sauce, which you can see here. So do me a favor, treat yourself or your favorite cook to any of these sauces, and you can order them at www.icsauces.com. That's www. The letter I, the letter C is in Charlie, sauces.com, and be a part of their community. You can also follow them on Instagram at Indigo Siege. So that's Indigo, INDIGO, Siege, CIEGE, and that's all one word. So be sure to go and check them out. Now, listen, I read my script, but I'm gonna just give y'all the tea. It's one of my favorite wing sauces. I'm from Chicago. I'm a mild sauce girl, and this is probably the closest thing I will ever get. It's my favorite sauce. I've known Siege for years, and I have been eating this sauce up. Every time he makes it, I make sure to order it. So listen, grab your sauces now while they're in stock, and we will see you soon. All right, welcome back to Singles Exchange, a podcast that focuses on conversations, connections, and community. As always, I am your host, Joy J, and we have part 2 of a super exciting topic. But before we get started, you know the drill. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to Singles Exchange on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, and whatever your podcast streaming platform is. Today, we are doing part 2 of a conversation we've been having about daddy's girls and mama's boys and how that all plays a part in our dating and relationships. So we're gonna welcome back for the, I don't even know how many times you've been on here at this point, but we're gonna welcome Charris back again. We're gonna let him tell you guys or remind you who he is, what he does for Singles Exchange, and share his exciting news. And then we'll get started.
What's up, exchangers? Like Joy said, my name is Charris. I am one of the male staff members for Singles Exchange. I am a minister at my church, also a youth leader. What else do you want? I've been married to my wife for almost 5 years. It'll be 5 years in about 2 weeks. Um, and exciting news is that we are getting ready to relocate. We are moving to the DFW, Dallas area. We'll be out of here in October.
So exciting and so sad. We gonna cry, but we also gonna have another place to visit.
Right.
So for those of you exchangers who are thinking about coming to the murder mystery dinner, you will see Sheriff. That'll be one of his last weeks here in Illinois. So stop by and see our homie before he goes. And we're gonna hop into the topic today. So Sheriff, I'll just go ahead and ask you, are you a mama's boy?
Absolutely.
And what is your definition of a mama's boy? Because I feel like mama's boys get a bad rap and daddy's girls don't get that same rap. So what's your definition of a mama's boy?
So I'm gonna say I really had to like look it up because I always say that yes, I'm a mama's boy. Like given, but like how would I define it? And so I went to Urban Dictionary, which is not a good source if you're writing a paper, but for the topics of conversation, Urban Dictionary comes in handy. So they gave us two different types. Type one says a male who is overly dependent on their mom into adulthood. They can lead to things such as grown man letting his mom make decisions for him, despite the fact that he's old enough to make decisions for himself. He also lets his mom order him around, and this can have bad effects on their relationships. Type two, which I believe would be more of what I am, is a man who simply loves his mom and isn't afraid to show it. Um, says how this differs from type one is that the son is perfectly capable and willing to take care of himself while still holding a close bond with his mother without all of the negative effects of type one. So type two is how I would define me as a mama's boy.
And see, I think that's valid because in the previous episode where me and Ivy talked about being daddy's girls, the connotation is so different. For women, if we say we're daddy's girls, men are kind of like, oh, I got to step up my game. Like I got to have a higher standard. I have to make sure that I treat you right because you're a daddy's girl. Whereas when you hear a woman say like, he a mama's boy, we don't even want him. Like we try to sit him back. And that's probably not fair, but I have definitely been guilty. And that's not good. I'm gonna get myself together because just because you a mama's boy, you can be a type A or a type B. We hoping for a type B. But
Right.
from you being a mama's boy, and of course you are married, but we're talking about pre-marriage and while you're married, because those are two different things too. How would a woman be able to tell from your standpoint that she is dating a mama's boy? So if she's dating a mama's boy, what are some telltale signs of a type A or a type B?
Well, I would say with type A, he literally, before he can make a decision, has to call his mama to get approval. If you see a blur moving down here on my left side, Angel decided she wanted to be in the video. Yeah, type A, like he has to get his mom's approval for everything. He literally cannot make a move without her. I would say for a good like reference point, look at something like Everybody Loves Raymond. His mama right across the street, and literally she knows every movement of their household. Um, as opposed to a type B would be someone who he doesn't have to talk to his mama every day. Um, he does, of course, make time to have their relationship with her. He will call her for like the more important decisions, but she doesn't need to approve of everything that he does. Um, what's another telltale sign? Just I don't know, the respect, like not that people who aren't mama's boys don't have respect for their moms. That's not what I'm saying. But like there's a different level of respect. Like you really actually care about what your mother has to say, um, as opposed to a type A who would be someone who has to get her approval, whereas a type B, she can disapprove, but he still might go forward with it.
Valid. I think that's another thing. So, in being a daddy's girl, because I am 1000% a daddy's girl, I think what you just said makes the difference. It's not that I asked my dad's approval or something, but I consider him to be a wise person. So, when I go to him, it's because I want his opinion and I value his opinion. I want to know what you think about this. And then I will make my own decision. And there have been some times where he said, I think you should do X, Y, Z. And I did the flat foot opposite because I'm an adult and I'm going to make my own decision. But thank you for your input. And I know that you still going to love me after the fact. So I think that's valid. And it kind of leads into my next question about why do you think there is such a double standard between mama's boys and daddy's girls? Like, why is it that daddy's girls are held in such a high regard and daddy and mama's boys are kind of like, nah, we don't really want that?
I think it comes down to the portrayal of the two. Like, of course, with the daddy's girl, like her daddy is there, like that's the dude. This is the standard. Like, you have to meet this standard in order to even consider pursuing any type of anything with this woman. Whereas when it comes to a mama's boy, we get things like baby boy, where Jody has his room at his mama's house, and it's dependent on either his mama or his baby mama or his girlfriend for everything. Um, Mama's boys get portrayed as people who literally can't do anything without their mom's approval or without their mom being there. Just in like preparation for the discussion today, I was watching YouTube videos, and one of them was a guy who was out on a date, and his mom called him in the middle of the date. Now, this happened to me. She would have went to like, the phone would have been on do not disturb, like, don't call me. But he answered his phone in the middle of his day, told his mom what he was doing, FaceTimed her and turned the camera around so she could see who he was on the date with. Like, that's the type of stuff where guys get portrayed as with being mama's boys, as opposed to women being daddy's girls. This is just like the standard that you have to meet. So I think that's where the double standard comes in.
So you just made me think about, there was a time, and this was probably like maybe 2 years ago. It was before the pandemic, but not long before the pandemic. I was on a date. I had put my phone on do not disturb, but I was on a date with this guy, and I looked up and it was like 9:15. And anybody who's been around me knows that my daddy gonna call me at 9 o'clock faithfully. And I forgot. I try not to tell him when I go on dates because they be getting too excited. Like, we don't know if this person gonna be around. Calm down. Nonetheless, I just so happened to glance at my watch and saw that it was 9:15. Y'all, I picked up my phone and I had 15 missed calls. And I'm just like, hey, I'm fine. Like, I'm on a date. There have definitely been a few times where I had to tell both of my parents, listen, if you don't hear from me within a 2-hour time span, then you can panic. Because at some point I'm gonna be able to look at my phone. But what if I'm at a movie or again on a date, being a grown up, like, you're gonna have to calm down. And I feel like that guy, like, we hung out a few more times, but it didn't really go anywhere. And I really do think that played a part. Like, he was like, oh, this girl daddy crazy. And I'm sorry, I'm very sorry. But I don't like to answer my phone during the day. I think that's valid though. If we on a date, it should be on do not disturb. Somebody knows where you are. You could be, you are right. There was another story that I actually thought about when you were talking. So I am a daddy's girl. I don't expect a man to be exactly like my daddy, but I do expect you to have some qualities like my dad. Meaning, my dad is a provider. He want to make sure that I'm okay. I want to date a guy that knows that I am okay. Like, ain't no reason we dating and my tire busted and you at home like, you need an Uber. No, you need to come out here. Come get me.
Where you at?
Where are you? So stuff like that, yeah. But I thought about a time when I was dating this guy, and he was a mama's boy, and his mama let it be known that she did not like me. And she wasn't fool, like, she ain't it, and she wasn't like overly rude. It was just enough rude to say, I don't like you because my son's spending too much time with you. And I didn't want to date him. Like, that was a huge turnoff. So there definitely are some type A's and some type B's in the world for both parties. And I don't know if she felt like I was like taking her place, like, you spending more time with my son than I am. And in my brain, I'm like, girl, that's what's supposed to happen. Like, we're dating. It's
exactly. And I think that's how a lot of that like happens. Like, just in that example there, like, yeah, he was a mama's boy, clearly. But I think half the problem came down to the mama in question. Like, this is the relationship, or this is the dichotomy that she made known that this is how this is going to be with our relationship. This is how it probably was growing up in their house. Like, so how much of of course, this is a grown man at this point, but that's what he knows.
Right. And also, did he
came down to her
set boundaries?
I don't know.
Because my question would have been,
Mhm.
did you tell your mama that she is making me uncomfortable? Did you explain to her that I am your girlfriend and that you're not gonna get all of me? Because he got to share
Right.
you, sweetheart. Like, you have to share. And I really think that's what it boils down to. It makes me want to call my brothers. Both of my brothers are in their second marriages, but it almost makes me want to call their first wives and ask them, did you have issues with my mama? Like, my mama say she wasn't a bad mother-in-law, but ain't nobody gonna flat out admit that they was like out here being a bogus mother-in-law. So
Right.
I now want to call and ask, because what really happened? Yeah, it makes me curious. But it leads me into my next question. Because you talked about the type A's that literally depend on their mama for everything, cannot make a decision without her. And I think a lot of moms get the impression that you trying to replace me. So did you deal with that? Which I don't think you would, but did you deal with that? And do you feel like you wanted your girlfriend or your wife to live up to the same standards as your mom?
I didn't really deal with that. At least not from my perspective. I think Jasmine might be a better person to ask, but as far as I'm concerned, I don't think I had to really deal with that mama feeling like she was being replaced. Um, I know from my viewpoint, I wasn't looking for another mama. I have a mama. Erica did just fine, and Erica is just fine until one of us leaves this earth. So we're not looking for any replacements. Um, as far as standards go, uh, absolutely, there are things that I look for based off of how I grew up. But I'm like I said, I'm not looking for Erica Part Two. Um, so yeah, that's the short answer for that one.
I mean, listen, give the long answer if you need to. Because that was kind of the next
Yeah.
question about in your dating phase, how your mom played a part in your standards and expectations for women.
So I would say my mom did set the like baseline. Like there are certain things that are just like non-starters, and it's based on qualities that my mother has. Um, like I'm not saying I want no like hood rat out here finna cuss you out type woman, but I need someone who is able and willing to stand their ground or has the potential to do so. Um, because I have a very strong mother. She raised three kids majority of the time by herself. Um, what another quality would be being able to handle business when need be. Of course, like I said, I was raised by a single mother, so she handled everything by herself. Um, and so I'm not saying that I needed someone who could go out here and change a tire and cut down trees and cut grass and do all this other stuff, but and being able to at least figure out how to get that stuff done without me is a plus. Um, because of course I won't be here always, and I don't want to be gone worried about what you're doing. I mean, hopefully I won't be worried about it in heaven because that's where I plan on going. But you get the point. And so yeah, there are certain qualities that I did look for in dating prior to getting married, and it was based off of how I was raised and my mother's qualities.
Listen, as soon as you said cutting grass and chopping down trees, I was like, that ain't Jasmine. Now she'll pay somebody
Right.
to do it.
That's what
Jasmine
I'm
ain't cut
saying.
no
At least know
grass.
how to get it done. I say you got to go do it, but you know how to pay
Listen,
somebody to
and that
do
is
it.
also me. I find somebody in a heartbeat. I am not cutting no grass. I don't even like taking out the garbage. I have to, don't want to.
Grass
Okay.
is ghetto. I'll pay somebody myself, and I
Listen,
know how to do
it's ghetto out here. Ain't nobody finna do that. It's too hot outside. So in your dating relationships before you met the love of your life. How did women react when they kind of figured out, or you just flat out told them that I'm a mama's boy, like I'm close to my mama? Like, how did women react to that when you were still dating? And even Jazz.
I think it really with Jazz, I didn't really have to worry too much about it. I do think that there was like some level of intimidation, of course, like this is my mama and he's a mama's boy. Um, but like in prior relationships, were some people they're like, yeah, no, this is not gonna work simply because you're a mama's boy. And it goes back to the negative connotation of being a mama's boy. Now, had you taken the time to figure out which type of mama's boy you were dealing with, we wouldn't have been there. But I'm glad it all worked out the way it was
It worked
supposed
out
to.
well.
But yeah, there's definitely because of that negative connotation or that stigma on that term "mama's boy." There were definitely some relationships that just didn't work out. Um, and I don't. Some people may have felt like I talked to my mama too much. I talk to my mama at least twice a week. That's a standard. We have to talk twice a week. Some people think that's excessive, but I'm trying to figure out how you talk to your
Oh,
parents less than twice a week. Like twice a week is the minimum. What are you doing?
I would never make it with my parents because
Exactly.
they on that 3 times a day holler. And dare me to not. Prime example, Saturday was self-care Saturday. I was just in the house. I wanted to sleep and watch TV, wash my hair. Like I had a whole plan. Boy, my mama called me like, hello. I was like, what? It's 3 o'clock. We ain't heard from you since 8 this morning. I'm like, okay, was I supposed to call you back? Like, did I miss something? Like, 2 times a week is not bad. Maybe listen, that's gonna be the next question on Singles Exchange. Let me throw that out as a question of the day. How often do you talk to your parents? Because what?
Exactly. And twice a week, like I said, that's the minimum. That's because we busy. She got stuff to do. I got stuff to do. We can only catch each other twice a week.
Exactly, because we be out here doing stuff, being an adult.
Exactly.
So you said the word intimidation, which is literally in our next question. I wanted to ask you, did women, well, clearly you said Jasmine did, but did other women feel intimidated by like your mom, and not even in a sense of like she gonna come in and be mean, but just intimidated at, oh, I meeting his mom, am I gonna live up to those standards type of thing?
I never introduced anyone else to my mother. Jasmine was the one and only person who ever met Erica.
Period.
But I do think that when it comes to like other people and their relationships, there's definitely that intimidation factor. I would say if we're talking about my mom specifically, like I said, she was a single parent, so she did it all. So if you're trying to if you're coming into meet her and you know how his relationship is with his mother and you know um, what type of person she is based off of what he's told you, you know that this is literally the woman who did everything. And so coming in and kind of and being input into that dynamic is definitely an intimidation factor. I would say for anyone. So yes, there's definitely a level of intimidation there.
See, and for me, I said this on the previous one with Ivy. I try really hard not to tell a guy that I'm a daddy's girl because I think it brings about an unnecessary level of intimidation. Like, yeah, my dad does a lot for me. Yes, we are really close, but like you said earlier, I'm not trying to replace my daddy. Like, I got a daddy, he got a daughter. We good over here. Like,
Right.
I'm not looking for another dad. I'm looking for a partner for me. I got a dad. So, and he do enough, okay? He runs up my blood pressure quite enough on his own. I don't need nobody to help him run up my pressure. So, I try hard not to tell a guy that and just to let him see this is our relationship type of thing. Because I do think it can be intimidating, especially with how much we talk. And like we got inside jokes and stuff. My daddy is the funniest person I know. He don't act right, no doubt.
Your dad
So
is one of the funniest people I know.
listen, he don't act right. So, for that to be our relationship, like I said, a guy can be easily intimidated, along with the fact that my dad has always raised me to say, you don't ever need to depend on any man but me, which he is gonna struggle when I get married. Y'all need to start praying for him right now. But that's how he raised me. And I will never like upfront tell a guy that, because they're gonna be like, oh, H no, I'm good. She ain't gonna never let me do nothing. And that's not true. But whatever. So what are some stigmas and stereotypes about mama's boys that you hate? And I know there are a ton of them.
There are a million that like super dependent, super clingy mama's boy stereotype. Like that is so that's played out. Um that mama's boy that still live at home in the basement. I'm finna move to Texas and my mama is still in Kankakee. Like just find like where did that come from?
Yeah.
And while there are examples of people that do epitomize the stereotype, it's again a stereotype. It doesn't apply to everyone.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's so much. Yeah, that one that needs his mama's approval for everything. Like that's just not true.
True.
Um
I think the clingy
those ones that
the one that
oh,
you
go ahead.
said about being clingy, I think that's super valid because I've dated multiple mama's boys or people that I would consider a mama's boy. And I don't see any of them being clingy with me, even if they are clingy to their mom. And I think it goes back to the philosophy that I got a mama. I don't want you to be my mama. Like,
Right.
I think people need to learn how to differentiate. Even if he is clingy with his mama, that don't mean he's gonna be clingy with you, sweetheart.
Right. And that's the thing. Like they think that, oh, because you're dating a mama's boy, he's looking to make you his mama. No, no, ma'am. But that's not it. Like I said, Erica's here. We're just fine.
We are fine. Okay, did you have another one before we move on?
No, we can go to the next one.
Okay. So this is one that I think me and Ivy talked about. A lot of times as a daddy's girl, guys feel like, oh, she gonna run and tell her daddy whenever we have an argument. Does that happen with daddies, with mama's boys? Do you feel like women get the vibe that if we argue, you gonna run and tell your mama on me type of thing? Is that another stigma or stereotype?
I think so. And I play with Jazz sometimes. I'm like, I'm gonna tell my mama, but I'm not really finna tell my mama. Like, first of all, what's she gonna do 4.5 hours away? Second of all, I sincerely believe in operating under that you don't tell your family everything that goes on in your relationship. Like because it goes back to, and I don't know if we talked about this on Singles Exchange before, but I know it's been brought up at least at my Nevo Express conference has said it before. That there are some things that you just don't tell your family because you tell them when that person is pissing you off, but then you don't go back and tell them when that person and you have reconciled. And so now when they come around your family, they looking at this other person crazy because they know all the stuff that you done told them. We don't need that dynamic because I plan on being married one time and one time only.
Period.
And so I don't need you, okay, till death. Somebody gotta die. And I'm not gonna have you and my mama and I because I done went and told us stuff that you did that pissed me off. She just don't need to know.
Yeah.
She doesn't.
And that's why
Are there people that do? Probably, but
and there are people that do, but a lot of people operate under the happy wife, happy life. My philosophy has forever been happy spouse, happy house. We both gonna be happy up in here, and we're gonna keep other people out of our business because it ain't got nothing to do with them. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that you're not gonna go through spats where your spouse gonna piss you off because it's going to happen. However, you have to be mindful of who you share that with, and try to make it not family members. Make it somebody that you can just vent and they can still stay neutral. So my last question, which I think is an obvious answer to me, but I'm gonna let you answer for yourself. Would you date a daddy's girl? Why or why not?
I married one. So absolutely would date a daddy's girl. And my reason why is because while yes, it can be intimidating trying to live up to the standards that someone has because they're a daddy's girl, it also lets you know that this person has standards to live up to. I don't want someone that will accept any and everything. That's just it's not okay. Because if you'll accept anything, if I'm doing something that you don't like, and the next person that walks by is, you're quick to switch. No, I need someone who's had a foundation laid that has expectations and standards. Um, and I think dating a daddy's girl makes you have to develop yourself more, like you have to rise to meet certain standards. And if there's something that you know this person expects of you that you currently don't do, but you're really serious about pursuing any type of relationship with that person, you know that you have to work on yourself in order to meet that standard. And so I think it can be a benefit to date a daddy's girl. Um, are there downfalls? Yes, but I think the benefits outweigh the negatives.
And they will. So Darielle is clapping. I'm do a special intro for our intern because we do have an intern. I'll do a special intro for her a little bit later. But anyway, Charris, thank you as always for sharing your insight on being a mama's boy versus being a daddy's girl. Listen up, exchangers. If you have not already, get your tickets for the Murder Mystery Dinner. Get your $40 holla. It's going to be a great time. And I am looking forward to it. So you can go to our website, and I'm going to be real hood and open my phone right now to tell you guys exactly the website. It is singles-let's-exchange.com. And that's no apostrophes or anything. Singles-let's-exchange.com. Go get your tickets while they're still available, because once they sold out, they sold out. So that's it. That's all we got for y'all. Listen, be on the lookout. We have a new exciting series coming up. You'll get a couple of spoilers this week, but you'll have to tune into Facebook to find out what they are. But it's gonna be good. So we'll see y'all soon. Have a good day, and let's exchange.